Hello and welcome to our IELTS webinar. So first things first, let me give you a brief introduction about our company. Zenith Educational Services is an overseas educational consultancy based in Kolkata. We at Zenith help you with all kinds of services required for studying abroad, starting from the career counseling, application process, preparing SOPs, mock interviews, financial documentation, visa application assistance, travel and accommodation, education loan assistance, forex assistance, and pre-departure support. We provide assistance and counseling for education in various countries such as UK, Canada, France, Australia, Ireland, Singapore, Germany, Dubai, and many more. Our aim is to help students get into their desired university abroad and to help them achieve their dreams. 100% of our students have been admitted and placed in various institutions abroad. We have 95% success rate in providing visa. So let's start with IELTS. First of all, I welcome you all into our webinar. And in today's agenda, we will discuss about what is IELTS, what score you need, types of IELTS modules, 4 components, format and time allowed, marking criteria, and useful tips on each section. So starting with the basics, the International English Language Testing System is a test of English proficiency test. It's a test of English proficiency of non-native English speakers. You can take the test as many times as you want and need. It is designed to assess your ability to read, write, speak, and listen in English. In order for you to work, study, or migrate to an English-speaking country, like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom. IELTS is graded on a scale of 1 to 9, and your score is valid for up to 2 years. The mode of the exam is both paper-based and computer-delivered. If you're looking to work, live, or study in an English-speaking country, then you must be able to demonstrate a high level of English language ability. Being able to communicate in the native language is essential for your job opportunities as well as integration into the community. The score you need in IELTS reflects your understanding and ability to communicate in English. Each immigration body, workplace, and institution will have specific IELTS score requirements. The score you need will depend on what you are looking to do in the country, work or study. Now there are 2 different IELTS modules, IELTS Academic module and the IELTS General Training module, which includes 4 papers, 4 sections, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. While the speaking and listening sections are the same in both modules, the reading and writing tests are different. You should choose the academic module if you wish to study at an undergraduate or postgraduate program. You should choose the general training module if you wish to migrate to an English-speaking country. Now, these are the 4 components, the 4 sections that you will find in your exams: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. While the listening, reading, and writing sections are conducted on the same day, the speaking section is conducted 1 week before or after the 3 sections. Starting with IELTS speaking module. So the speaking test is a face-to-face interview between the candidate and the examiner. The speaking test is recorded, and there are 3 parts to the test. Each part is followed by a specific pattern of tasks in order to test your speaking ability in different ways. The test is for around 11 to 14 minutes, and as you can see, there are 3 parts to the test. The part 1 is introduction and interview, which is 4 to 5 minutes long. In this part, the examiner introduces himself or herself and checks your identity. Then the examiner asks you general questions on some familiar topics, such as home, family, work, studies, or interests. The skills tested in this part is your ability to give information and opinions on everyday topics and common experiences or situations by answering a range of questions. The second is part 2, which is known as long turn. The examiner gives you a task card or a cue card, which asks you to talk about a particular topic. The card tells you what points you should include in your talk and instructs you to explain one aspect of the topic. You have 1 minute to prepare your talk, and the examiner will give you a pencil and a paper to make notes. By using the points on the task card and making notes during the preparation time, you should be able to think of appropriate things to say and have time to structure your talk so that you keep talking for 2 minutes. The examiner will then ask you to begin talking and will stop you when the time is up. They may then ask you 1 or 2 questions on the same topic. Part 2 lasts for 3 to 4 minutes, including the preparation time. The skills tested in this part are your ability to speak at length on a given topic, using appropriate language, and organizing your ideas logically. You will need to think about your own experiences to complete the long term. The third part is discussion, which is 4 to 5 minutes long. In this part, you and the examiner discuss issues related to the topic in part 2 in a more general and abstract way, where appropriate in greater depth. The skills tested in this section is your ability to explain your opinions and to analyze, discuss, and speculate about issues. Now, coming to some useful tips on the speaking section. First of all, don't learn your answers, or you will end up losing your marks. You may also end up getting a 0. Speak naturally and make sure that you don't repeat a phrase over and over again. Practice a lot during the test. Practice a lot because during the test, you are required to talk much more than the examiner. Try to be a good listener. Record yourself while practicing and watch your pronunciation, intonation, body language, and maintain eye contact with the examiner during the test. Remember, you are tested on your English speaking skills and not on your opinions. Use connectors while speaking as they help to build a logical flow of ideas. Now comes the academic reading part, the IELTS academic reading section. So the reading section of the IELTS is designed to test various facets of reading skills, such as understanding the main idea, summarization, recognition of authors' opinions or arguments, and being able to analyze the same. It tests the analytical, critical, and reading skills of a candidate at a university level. There will be 3 long detailed passages taken from various sources. As you can see, you will have 3 passages and 40 questions, and you will have to complete it within 60 minutes. The passages are excerpts from books, magazines, articles, academic journals, or newspapers. These can be factual, descriptive, or analytical section. So you have to make sure that you are transferring your answers if you're taking the paper-based test. And within that 60-minute span of time, you should be able to answer those questions as well as transfer your answers. All right? While practicing, time yourself and create that pressure on yourself, because you won't be given even a minute more than 60 minutes and you will have to answer 40 questions within that span of time. So practice as many mock tests as you can and create that pressure on yourself and practice in that timed zone. All right? Read as much as you can, news articles, scientific analysis or observations. Identify the flow and genre of the passages. All right? learn to manage your time. This is a very important uh, tip that I am giving you. Learn to manage your time because there are three passages, long and detailed passages, and you should really divide your time between those three passages. All right. Moving on to the listening section. You will get 4 recordings. You will have 30 minutes to finish this section and you will get 40 questions in total. So in section 1, you will hear a conversation between two people in an everyday context. In section 2, you will have a monologue in an everyday context. In section 3, there will be a conversation between up to 4 people in an educational context. Whereas in section 4, there will be a monologue in an academic subject. The types of questions that you might expect in this section are multiple choice questions, matching information, diagram or map labeling, sentence completion, and summary or flowchart completion. All right. So you won't get to hear the recording the second time. So you have to be very careful while you're listening to the recording. Moving on to some listening tips. There is no negative marking in the entire test. So just take a guess even if you don't know the answer because you won't lose anything. All right. So just take a guess and don't spend more than a minute on one particular question. If you don't know the answer, just take a guess or you can also come back to it. Read the questions very carefully. As I mentioned, there will be some questions which would ask you to stick to the word limit. For example, answering no more than 2 or 3 words. So you have to stick to the word limit. Then method of elimination. If you are completely sure that the answer to this particular question, this option is not valid for this particular question, just eliminate it and move on. All right. And then you will be left with other 2 options. Then it will be easier for you to answer those questions by using that method of elimination. Now, if taking the test on paper, you are given the additional 10 minutes to transfer your answer at the end of the listening section, apart from those 30 minutes. Whereas if you're taking the computer delivered test, you won't be given that extra 10 minutes. So for those taking the paper-based test, use that 10 minutes very wisely, right? Again, don't make any spelling mistakes. Even if your answer is correct, you might end up losing marks. Try to identify the key words or the indicating words in the recording. For example, firstly or in conclusion. This will help you identify which question you have used. All right. So these were some of the listening tips. Moving on to the writing section. Now, there will be 2 writing tasks and both must be completed within 60 minutes. In task 1, you will have to describe some visual information in your own words and you need to write at least 150 words. You should spend around 20 minutes on this task. In the second task, you are given a point of view, argument, or problem which you need to discuss. You need to write at least 250 words in about 40 minutes. All right. You must write your answer using full sentences. You must not write your answers as news or bullet points. Now, in task 1, you may be given graphs, charts, tables, a diagram, a process, or an event, and you will have to include the most important points, the most relevant points in the diagram. Some minor details or points might be left out, but you should identify the most important points in the diagram and include those. Write in an academic or semi-formal style, and you shouldn't spend more than 20 minutes on this task. And stick to the word limit. Do not write any less than 150 words. You can aim for more than that, maybe 170 to 175 words. but not less than 150 words because you will be penalized for it. Okay. Now, the skills that are tested in task 1 are your ability to identify the most important and relevant information and trends in a graph, chart, table, or diagram, and to give a well organized overview of it. All right. Moving on to task 2, you will be presented with an argument, problem, or a point of view, and you will be assessed on your ability to present a solution to a problem, present and justify an opinion, compare and contrast evidence, opinions, and implications, evaluate and challenge ideas, evidence, or an argument. The types of questions that you might expect in task 2 are opinion-based questions, which might look like, do you agree or disagree with the particular opinion? To what extent do you agree or disagree? Then the second would be discussion, which would look like discuss both views and give your opinions. Then causes and effects and problems and solutions. You will be given a particular statement which would look like a problem, and you will be asked to discuss about it and give some possible solutions to it. Then comes the advantages and disadvantages. For example, what are the pros and cons, or do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? And you will be required to write an essay on it. And the fifth one is double questions. Normally, there will be 2 direct questions. Now, the skills that you are assessed on in this section are task achievement, whether you are answering all the points of the question. You have to answer everything that is mentioned in the question. All right, task completion, task achievement. That is one of the marking criterion. The second is coherence and cohesion. Use your paragraphs properly. There should be at least 4 paragraphs. Organize your ideas logically. For example, if you're writing an essay, use one introduction paragraph, then followed by 2 paragraphs which will be supported by evidences and examples or some particular argument, then followed by conclusion. All right. So you are assessed on that criteria if you are using the paragraphs logically or not. This is known as coherence and cohesion. Then lexical resources, which means how well and appropriately you are using the vocabulary. Do not use any word that you don't know the meaning, that you're not sure of the meaning. All right. Use a particular word only if you know that you're 100% sure that the meaning is correct. And skillfully use those in your answers. The last part, the last criterion that you are assessed on is grammatical range and accuracy. The grammatical range, which means using a wide range of grammatical sentences and structures, for example, conditional sentences, passive sentences, complex sentences, compound complex sentences. Use these in your answers as much as you can, even while practicing. And how appropriately you are using the grammar. For example, tenses, articles, prepositions, and everything. Okay, so these are the 4 marking criteria that you are assessed on in your academic writing. So my general advice for writing tips is use the question card to your advantage. Learn to paraphrase. Do not copy the entire question in your answer sheet, but do not even change every single word in your answer sheet. Use paraphrasing because it's a skill that you should learn, and it can be really beneficial while answering your questions in this section. Stick to the word limit. Again, do not write any less than 150 words in task 1 or any less than 250 words in task 2, or you will be penalized for it. Use a proper structure of the essays, use proper paragraphing, do not make any spelling errors or grammar errors. Practice all types of questions. Practice as much as you can. Again, whatever you do, practice is the key. So my general overall advice for you is practice as many mock tests as you can, because by doing so, you can familiarize yourself with the test format, experience the types of tasks that you will get, that you will be asked to undertake, Test yourself under timed conditions and review your answers. So that's about it. That's all for our webinar in this session. Thank you so much. If you have any queries, kindly leave a comment below and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel.